Welcome back to the Daily Dose. My name is Taylor Osborn, one of the pastors out of the Fallbrook campus. You know when somebody addresses a crowd and they say, each of you is making a difference, or I'm so grateful for each and every single one of you, and you're pretty sure they're not talking to you in specific? It's because we believe that they're genuinely grateful for the group. We believe that they're genuinely grateful for the work that we're doing, but we don't think that we are contributing anything significant. We do that same thing in the church. We can believe that collectively as a church we're making a difference. Collectively as a church we're doing good things, but is my contribution significant? Is what I bring to the table helpful? And today we're continuing in a series in Characters of the Bible with somebody that I have always admired for making a difference in a very underrated way, and her name is Lydia. And her claim to fame is in Acts chapter 16. It's just a couple quick verses in 13 to 16, but the contribution she made to Paul's missionary journey was so significant that he calls her out by name for contributing in this way. It says, on the Sabbath, we went outside the city gate to the river where we expected to find a place of prayer. We sat down and began to speak to the women who had gathered there. One of those listening was a woman from the city of Thyatira named Lydia, a dealer in purple cloth. She was a worshiper of God. The Lord opened her heart to respond to Paul's message, and when she and the members of her household were baptized, she invited us into her home. If you consider me a believer in the Lord, she said, come and stay at my house. And she persuaded us. Lydia's claim to fame in the Bible has nothing to do with writing Bible. She wasn't a missionary. She wasn't an evangelist. Her contribution was hospitality. It was generosity. It was opening her home. And so often I think we look to the gifts of Chris and Larry and their speaking gifts, the campus pastors and their pastoral gifts, and we think, well, that's the gift of significance. What do I contribute? But if we look to the life of Lydia, we see that everybody has something worth contributing. Everything that you can contribute, all the gifts you can bring, they're of significance for furthering the gospel. At the Fallbrook campus, we serve gelato once a month because of the generosity of someone who has the gift of making gelato and shares that with our church family. And our kids leap out of their classrooms on Saturdays just in case it's gelato night. All because Frank Filelli donates his time and his energy and his gift of making gelato to make our church feel a little bit more like home for families. It's Denny Clark, who is a business owner but takes time out of his busy schedule to come to our staff meetings and advise and cheerlead and remind us of what we're good at and what to focus on, and yet comes alongside with spreadsheets and projections and helps us plan for the future, and is also one of the first to step in ready to contribute to a Coast Kids classroom when we have a volunteer call in sick on a weekend. It's all our student ministries leaders who show up week after week and year after year and then sign up to do it again because they just love our kids that much. People like Megan Dixon, who wakes up thinking about how to pour into the next generation of girls by speaking identity in Christ over them so that we see the work of the gospel further in our own kids. And the list goes on and on and on of our church family members being church family and contributing to this overall picture of what we can accomplish as a church. And it takes every single one of us. Determine what your gifts are. Determine the gifts that God gave you and then use them. Never believing they're too small or insignificant. Because you're not just a volunteer. You're not just serving coffee. You're not just parking cars. You're not just opening up your home for life group. You are being a good steward of God's grace, as 1 Peter 4:10 puts it. You're being a faithful steward of the gifts that you were given. And when you do that, when you steward your gifts, hear us say specifically to you, thank you. Thank you for what you do, using your gifts to further the work of the gospel. Thank you from gelato to life group leaders and hosts and everywhere in between. Thank you for the work that you're doing. We see you. God sees you. And we are so grateful that you partner with us. You are making a difference. Have a great day, Daily Dosers.